Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. The reference has been made of a fourth person. We're not too sure yet who that person's going to be. But what we can tell you is that we had several leaders from the one of the oldest institutions within the region, CARICOM, who attended today's conversation meeting, and several of them are still here. And we are not sure, but we believe there will be some presence of some sort at this evening's press conference from all those who gathered here earlier on today for this session.
And of course, I think all the leaders, in fact, might still be here. We have not seen any activity in respect of aircraft leaving, aircraft that would have brought them in initially. We have not seen any departing. So we are assuming that they are, in fact, still here. Everyone is still here. Most people, of course, will be leaving later this evening. We are absolutely unaware of what the contents of the presentation that we are waiting will be. We don't know. We have not been apprised of the outcome of today's big meeting between the leaders, of course, facilitated by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves. So we are awaiting that presentation, that statement, if you may. Not sure whether questions will be allowed or facilitated as well. Nonetheless, we do expect to hear that statement in a very short while. Lots
Okay.
of other side meetings took place during the day. Lots of excitement, lots of other side shows. It has been a very interesting and long day.
Yes, indeed, it has been. And I was going to make the point that even though it has gone past 7 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, most of the journalists have remained in place, which is indicative of the priority and the importance of such a venture, which was held today here at the Argyle International Airport. We certainly, I think everyone is eager, anxious to hear what took place. We've been sharing with you the photos and trying to capture the moment as things were unveiled today throughout the course of the day. And it's I think everyone is waiting now with bated breath to hear what are the final outcomes. Has there been a resolution? What will happen hereafter? All of these questions, I'm sure, will be answered this evening.
Yes, and while we're doing that, we're seeing a live shot of the room, and you can just see the anticipation of those who are gathered right behind where we are sitting. And of course, those are all members of the media, particularly visiting media. There are a few local media practitioners in the mix as well. But I can tell you that it's quite a crowded space, for want of a better expression, this evening, as the anticipation is certainly building to what this press briefing will reveal as to the outcome of the various discussions that took place during the course of the day today. As mentioned, several discussions, varying topics, and between different delegations took place over the course of the last few hours. And we have been making sure that we capture the happenings for you on social media as well. So you can visit our social media page, particularly for the National Broadcasting Corporation, and shared across the two partners in this broadcast, API and VC3. And you can see the other happenings and the outcomes of those meetings. We will find out during the course of the next few minutes, we hope.
And of course, just a reminder as to why we are here this evening, why we have been here all day. It's a meeting that was brokered by the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves, to what he describes as a meeting, a conversation to discuss matters consequential to the border controversy between the republics of Guyana and Venezuela. Several CARICOM leaders, of course, having come into the island to be a part of this conversation. As Dion John would have mentioned earlier on, we had leaders from Bahamas, Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica, in the person of Mr.
Chairman,
Skerritt,
yeah, who's
who
also the
is the
chairman of
current chairman
CARICOM.
of CARICOM. Of course, we also had the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia
Prime
Mottley,
Minister of
and the Prime
Grenada.
Minister of Grenada, and the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
Did you
And
mention Bahamas?
I sure
Yes,
did.
yes,
Yes, I
yes,
did.
yes.
Yes.
So I had an opportunity to speak with Inspector Mitchell, who's here with the Grenada delegation, and he said they had about 5 persons here from their party, and I believe that's on average the numbers who accompanied the leaders here. On average, we had larger delegations, and you would anticipate this is for the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. So they had the larger contingents here at the Argyle International Import. In fact, all of this is taking place before the eyes of the local, regional, and international media, and the of course the eagerness, the excitement. Everyone is sitting waiting for the possible outcomes of today's meeting, and we are also doing that. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There's been much discussion on what people think would be the possible outcomes, but we just have to wait to hear what are the final. What was the final statement which would be released as part of the joint communique which will come out of today's conversation?
Again, a reminder for those who may not know the background to what's really happening now. The Venezuelan boundary dispute officially began in 1841 when the Venezuelan government protested alleged British encroachment on Venezuelan territory. And in 1814, Great Britain had acquired British Guyana, of course, that is now Guyana, by treaty with the Netherlands. Because the treaty did not define a western boundary, the British government commissioned a surveyor and naturalist to delineate that border. His 1835 survey resulted in what came to be known as the Schomburg Line, a boundary that effectively claimed an additional 30,000 square miles for Guyana. In 1841, Venezuela disputed the British delineation, claiming territorial delineations established at the time of their independence from Spain. Venezuela claimed its borders extended as far east as the Essequibo River, an effective claim on two-thirds of British Guyana's territory. When gold was discovered in the disputed territory, Great Britain sought to further extend its reach, claiming an additional 33,000 square miles west of the line, an area where gold had been discovered. In 1876, Venezuela protested an appeal to the United States for assistance, citing the Monroe Doctrine as justification for U.S. involvement. And between then and up to 1895, quite a bit has happened. But I think that it was in 1899 that the boundary was drawn by an international commission. And Guyana argues it's that particular commission that the boundary is legal and binding, and Venezuela claims it is land theft conspiracy because arbiters from Britain, Russia, and the United States had decided the boundary. So really and truly, in 1899 is the year when this controversy took new heights. And here we are in 2023 with that old controversy resurfacing again at quite different levels.
And some of the recent developments regarding this issue, we had a caucus meeting of CARICOM, which was held on the 8th of December, to discuss the situation that was brewing and the border controversy. And there was an an agreement to issue a particular statement and a position on this, and CARICOM uh, pursued the stance of supporting Guyana in its border controversy with Venezuela through the ICJ. And of course, furthermore, CARICOM urged Venezuela to respect the measures that were put in place determined by the ICJ in its recent ruling, and that was on December 8th. And CARICOM also reiterated its commitment to the Caribbean as a zone of peace and the maintenance of international law. Just some of what was captured in that December 8th engagement.
Yes,
I was actually going to use the opportunity then, once we've established some form of context, to then go through some parts of the letter which was written to President Maduro and Ali
that's the
by.
letter that occasioned this particular
Correct. And this letter was
event.
written by
Yeah.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The leadership of the Community of States of Latin America and the Caribbean, CELAC, and the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, consider that it's necessary and desirable to facilitate the convening of a meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines on Thursday, December 14th at 10 a.m. between the presidents of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela on matters consequential to the border controversy between these two great countries. Both of you have agreed with me for such a meeting to be held under the auspices of CELAC, of which St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the pro tempore president, and CARICOM, of which the current chairman is the Commonwealth of Dominica. Both you have also requested the distinguished presence of the esteemed President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, His Excellency Luis de Silva. An invitation is accordingly being sent to our dear brother Lula. Now, this letter has been in the public sphere for quite some time, and I'm not going to read it in its entirety. But just basically, what we're doing is setting context for which we are gathered here. So, from that, you will see now why the leaders, both leaders are in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the other members of CARICOM basically have come to lend and to give support. The chairman of CARICOM is also here, and you note as well that there has been involvement in terms of CELAC, and the office of CELAC for the moment is headquarters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because the secretariat, I should say, because we are now the pro tempore president of CELAC, which we will hold until, I believe, March 1st of next year. And then the presidency will be handed over to Honduras. So this is what gives rise to today's discussion. And I'm sure, I think you mentioned, Daniel, that the Prime Minister last evening on your program indicated that it's better to have peace than anything else. And we all know what is the opposite of peace. And one can make reference to the Serenity Prayer, the prayer of St. Francis Assisi, where there is peace. Yeah, we all know that prayer, which we say from time to time, and this is something we just not say for the sake of saying it, but really have true meaning to what it is. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister is facilitating and has facilitated today's meeting. I am sure the Prime Minister will have something to say. If not at this evening's press conference, he will use the opportunity at another forum to brief the local media and the nation on a whole as it relates to this.
Okay, and we know, of course, the Prime Minister has been at great pains to insist that he is merely a facilitator of this initiative. It's not a mediating role, more or less. And the mere fact that he was able to convince, along with, of course, other leaders in the hemisphere, including the Brazilian leader, to encourage these two leaders, Guyana and Venezuela, to come together as a first step in initiating a conversation of course, there's not going to be an easy resolution nor an immediate resolution. But as what is important is the fact that the conversation has been initiated.
Yes.
And outside of CARICOM's response to what was seen at the time in terms of what led up to today's meeting, there was also a statement by Commonwealth as well, one of the agencies who issued a statement on the 17th of September. The Commonwealth Ministerial Group on Guyana was convened in New York, as a matter of fact, on the 17th of September. So we look at the dateline and you see this has been happening for a while in terms of preparing and laying the foundation for today's meeting. And this was convened by the Right Honorable Patricia Scotland Casey, who uh, gave that mandate and gave the mandate to the Commonwealth heads of government to monitor the developments that's happening in respect of the existing controversy between Guyana and Venezuela. So there was an eye already from September and following on, and we heard the Prime Minister mentions in September, in that same month of September, that the considerations were being put in place to facilitate what we had here today, which face-to-face meeting with the two key players, being the presidents of both Guyana and Venezuela.
Yes. So one of the things we want to state is that uh, Guyana and Venezuela are neighbors. Uh, they are joined geographically, and so when you look at that, when you just imagine you and your neighbor, and you try at every cost, at all costs I should say, to maintain a cordial relationship with your neighbor, because you would want, if you have to leave your home at any point, uh, that your neighbor will have an eye for you. For example, we are here this evening. We anticipate that our neighbors would have an eye out for us until they hear us returning. And there can be no positive effect on relations if communication remains severed. And even in light of that, today's conversation is even more so important.
And one of the things that we have really not spoken about and is of some significance and importance is the fact that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been accused of taking sides, but the Prime Minister insists that this is certainly not the case. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is in fact friends with both Guyana and Venezuela, and what the Prime Minister is doing is leading through his presidency of CELAC, the pro tempore presidency of CELAC. He is leading with the objective of securing the region, because so many things are at stake should these negotiations, should these talks fail. And as he has described it, and as he aptly put it, matters pertaining, consequential matters pertaining to this current dispute between both countries.
And we mentioned earlier on that the absence of peace is war. But we also have to commend both leaders, that is President Maduro, President Ali, for basically having their foresight and coming to the table today. As it's not easy, because there are other persons within these countries who are swayed in a particular way, and so it is easy to think otherwise of a peaceful situation, because there's so many factors that are at play. So by virtue of them really coming here and coming to the table today, that is testament that definitely that both leaders are, they have good intention to ensure that things work out very well.
And adding to what you just said, and we must remember as well that there are also internal pressures in their own
Yes.
individual territories to take certain actions or to do things that the population or the general population would have a strong opinion on. And they're also coming with that in terms of in their considerations and their discussions, that they also have to, you know, look at the people's interest in their individual territories. And in light of that, certain things may have to be considered or reconsidered during the course of the discussion to ensure that whatever is the final outcome or whatever agreement it comes to light is something that would be in favor of the individual territories. And we would want to ensure that, and they would want to ensure that, of course, it's it's kept in a particular way. And if we are smiling every now and then, we apologize, of course. Where we're set up, we do have quite a lot of other media colleagues and
Distractions.
distractions and the like. So from time to time, we have unavoidably folks walking into our shots and getting cues to step out. So if we do have that, we do apologize. But we're dealing with a very, very serious matter, and we want to make sure that we establish the fact that this event, what we're having today, a historic one, that we've been waiting all day for the outcome of the meetings, in particular the face to face discussion with the presidents of Venezuela and of Guyana. And moments from now, I would hope we shall find out the fruits of those discussions.
As you know, it doesn't take one day, and I don't anticipate that this will end today. I believe the conversations will continue after today into tonight. There will be discussions, the several discussions, and we don't anticipate that this is all going to end today. I don't believe that things are going to, but of course, now that you have the platform, now that you have the platform in place, this of course is a critical step in the right direction. And if we're going to maintain peace and stability and secure resolution, this is definitely leading on the right path.
So, as we await the statement, communique, what have you, I think we had in our view a short while ago Ambassador John. I don't know where he has disappeared to. It would be nice if we can get him to have a chat for his comments on today's meeting, because I know he would have been very actively involved and probably be in a position to give us an insight as to what transpired and what we can expect. So I think Dion has gone
Yes, and
searching for, and hopefully we can.
he did come by in an informal way, but we do hope that we will get him back to really some of the sentiments as it relates to today's meeting. But Teresa, an important player in today's meeting is United Nations. The Secretary General was not able to be here physically today, but in his place, he sent the chef de cabinet, which is in essence a cabinet secretary to represent him. And today we had in our presence Mr. Rattray, a Jamaican, a Caribbean man, who hosts that portfolio as chef de cabinet. And we are, of course, hoping that he was, you know, quite visible in that meeting. We were not able to get into that room, unfortunately, or see, what happened behind those doors. That meeting was a private meeting, and we expect the release or the briefing that would come in a few minutes from now to relay what needs to be relayed to the public in terms of the outcome of that meeting. While we did see images of both presidents shaking hands, we did not hear any particular separate statement from them if they were issued. And the expectation is that we'd have a unified voice at the end of the event today. So, just in case you're joining us, you're viewing and you're listening to us on the various platforms on the National Broadcasting Corporation, NBC Radio. You're viewing by way of the platforms of the Agency for Public Information, VC3 Television, and also the National Broadcasting Corporation social media page. We do hope that you continue to follow our pages. We will have updates if needs be. Even after our press briefing, our content will continue to reflect the happenings as it relates to today's briefing, as we see some shots of the media already in place and awaiting the cues from those who are charged with the responsibility of handling the media. And momentarily, we expect to have at least the leaders, two presidents, sitting side by side at one table and issuing a statement as it relates to the meeting or meetings that transpired earlier today.
And while we have not ourselves heard anything official from that particular meeting, we do know that both the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela have in fact briefed their media at some point, their respective media, because they all came with huge contingents from their respective territories. So we know that they at least have an idea of what's happening. Ambassador John has joined us, and
Hi.
Hi.
It's been a long day.
It's been a very long day, and how did it go? How did it go? Would you say?
No, I think it went well. We have a declaration that both sides have agreed to. It was subject to extensive negotiation, of course, but I think we have a document that speaks to the desire for both parties to continue the dialogue and also to maintain in the Caribbean and Latin America as a zone of peace.
Okay, and you are not willing to go into any details about.
Well, the Prime Minister and the two presidents will be at a press conference shortly, and I would prefer on the matters related to the declaration that they deal with the content.
Okay, so how important and significant would you say that this particular forum has been?
I think it was important, and coming out of this meeting, there's a commitment to dialogue. And anytime there's a commitment to dialogue, we could consider it a success when there is obvious conflict between states.
What was the atmosphere, the environment like in the setting?
I think surprisingly, both countries came with a desire to dialogue. Whether they have very clear positions, and they stated their positions, but I think the document would speak for itself in terms of how successful or not successful the meetings today went. And I think the conclusion that will be drawn generally would be that it was successful based on the content of the statement that they would read, the principals would read when they come out to meet with the press.
Okay, so does the statement outline specific actions to be taken?
Teresa.
Okay, Ambassador.
I'm going back in because we're still fine-tuning one or two things in the
Okay.
in the statement.
So it's still not ready.
It's almost there. It's just a question of some little things.
Okay.
Not anything that's controversial at the moment. There's general agreement on the text.
Okay.
We're just fine-tuning the language.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. Great.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And yes, we were hoping to get a sneak peek as to what that document or that final release will look like.
You would not budge.
After all, we were speaking to an ambassador, so we would want to keep it very diplomatic in our exchanges until we get the official word, as we say, from the horse's mouth, from those who we expect to deliver that message. They're just crossing a few T's and dotting some I's, I believe, as the ambassador stated, tidying up the document so that when they come to the media and when this is taken around the world, which it will be because we have international media here, there will be something substantial, something of substance that we can uh, see there, clear definitions of both of them having an input in whatever is decided going forward.
What were some of the things that caught your attention during the course of this day in respect of all that transpired?
Ah. Well, something that we're not so used to is the presence of a lot of foreign media, particularly from the region and those from the two states involved in today's discussion. And I must tell you, it's been quite a hectic one, and we both experienced some of that in the process of preparing for this live event and then getting to where we are seated now for this broadcast. As you'd imagine, with probably well over 100 media present from across the region and especially from the two countries involved. It was quite hectic, and it's been quite hectic for most of us. And logistically, after all, we're in a highly secure area. We're at an international airport, and it means that we have to go through security checks. We have to ensure that we follow all the advice being given. And I'd say that a takeaway from that is that you, in a situation like this where you have so many things happening around you, several meetings, several media houses competing, to get the information out first. It's certainly a push for us to, you know, have that drive and that energy whenever we have events like these that involve international, regional media coming to our shores.
So it was basically a first. So I guess it's also an opportunity for learning
Yes, it is.
from all quarters involved in ensuring that this meeting, this particular event, was convened in a satisfactory manner.
And just as an addendum to that, for those who are wondering, at no point were we actually near the room or inside of that room where that meeting took place. While we knew what was happening in terms of the meetings that are happening and the movements of the various delegations throughout the airport, we were not able to be physically in that room or be near that room. But we are happy that we are still here with you, and we can report that momentarily, as the I's are being dotted and the T's crossed, that we will get some sort of update as to the outcome of the fruits, I should say, of today's discussions at those various meetings.
And I know we've been saying momentarily for quite a while now, so
Yes.
I don't know. You slipped away for a while, Dion. Any idea of?
Well, from my understanding, I understand that the document is being printed at the moment, and some discussions are definitely some lighter moments are being shared as actually trying to get another ambassador. I'm just waiting until we get him before I share the name. I saw some of the leaders, in fact, the chairman of CARICOM, Roosevelt Scarrett, queuing at the door. Also saw Sid Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Drew. Uh, yes, I believe
Did
yes.
some kids get here
Yes,
eventually?
I did see him, and also the Prime Minister of Grenada as well. They were actually just across the corner there, and I believe they've just been called back into the room because when I went back, they weren't there. But I gather, though, Curtis compliments Teleso. We have two brief videos to share. Those are of when the leaders sat down. They initially sat down when they sat down earlier today for discussions, and of course the handshake, that famous handshake. Just a few seconds though, but we have shots of those, and our colleagues are actually showing those on screen. So if you're looking now, you'll get an opportunity to see them. And when they say face off, this is definitely face off. So the two leaders are facing each other. So the two leaders are facing each other to have a sit down, and the other leaders of CARICOM and the other members of their delegation are seated around the table. And I really hope for the world and for the region that they had very fruitful and productive discussions today. I'm really hoping that that's the outcome we're going to hear about this evening. So that's the leaders facing each other. There's a handshake. I'm not too sure when that is going to come. There is a handshake that there's a handshake as well. And please bear with us. We continue to struggle with persons walking across our live video, but there's absolutely nothing we can do about that at the moment. And they're the leaders shaking hands to the applause of all the other persons in the room. We see President Maduro being greeted there by by Prime Minister Mia Motley of Barbados. And there it is, that handshake and the applause. Leaders of CARICOM there. So and yeah, so we anticipate that they will come out of so they're in the VIP room at the moment as we speak, where I believe some changes, and as ambassador, I'm not sure if he said that, but they changes, and of course reworking they were changing whatever lines and language, and that's the sensitive part of this. It's not just putting together a statement like that. You have to make sure that everything is in sync and everything is according to what the parties want to express. So every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed.
And that historic moment, I think that we can say that, where that handshake was shared between both leaders, if that's an indication of what we'll hear in a few minutes from now, certainly something positive to look forward to. But we still wait for that, and the finality of that statement will say or chart the way forward in how this particular controversy is approached as it relates to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. It is something that is not going to be fixed with one meeting. We know that, and we've heard that statement. We heard the Prime Minister did mention that it's a step in the right direction, and having both leaders at a single table, and interestingly enough, they were facing each other in the shots that we just saw a while ago. Having them face to face and interacting with each other is a step in the right direction.
What do you think the mood was like in that room after the handshake? I mean, apart from the applause, what you think?
We can't think, but we did ask Ambassador
Yeah.
John
Oh,
that.
what did you say?
He's I think there was a sense of relief to an extent,
Okay.
in terms of the fact that they were able to shake hands and at least agree to shake hands, because these sort of things can be quite difficult. The fact that you are in a controversy that has gone global, caught the attention of a lot of international agencies, and to the point where the United Nations has sent a senior member to be at this particular meeting. The feeling of that coming out of that with a handshake, a pattern handshake, outside of the applause, must have created, at least eased the tension in that room, if just for a moment, between both
Was the
parties.
handshake a parting one, or was this at the beginning
I
of?
think this was at the end. I think that clip came much later on, the one that we saw via Telesur at the end of the exchange, because that clip came much later on during the course of the reporting. So I'm saying quite possibly that was at the end of their discussion, that exchange, that handshake took place.
Well, still playing the waiting game.
Yes. I think when we started, we did anticipate that we might have to wait for a bit, but I really didn't think it would have been this sort of extended wait. But we see some of the officials who arrived earlier on are coming out and now having a look at the room where we are seated, and trying to say hi, hello. And this also today also presented an opportunity for persons who interact within the path of government throughout the region, or to have conversations, because you did see a bit of that taking place as well, you introducing yourself and meeting new colleagues and so forth. So there was a bit of that camaraderie on all fronts here this evening. Well, earlier today and leading into the night, as you see persons are mingling, I suppose, with one aim in mind. What happened today?
Well, we did see quite a few rekindling of relationships, media relationships across the region, and I can tell you that I did witness at least two during the course of the day today. While we were waiting, of course, we had that opportunity uh, to socialize and meet our regional media colleagues and get to exchange contacts in the process. And outside of the background meetings, the meetings that were happening while we were waiting, we were able to also make those connections for the way forward.
And it was also an opportunity for the younger journalists and younger media hopefuls to make new contacts, see how others do their work, and experience the field on a much larger scale.
And I probably can speak in the case of NBC for us. We do a lot of regional news, and we had an opportunity to network today in a wonderful way, without having to even get on a plane to do that. And we were able to gather several numbers from our regional colleagues who are here. So then you can have a more personalized story when you have, so instead of going to a website and just pulling a story from that website, you can now liaise with your colleague which you've met from Barbados, from Guyana, from where some of the other countries we interacted with today. I can't remember.
St.
There was
Lucia.
someone.
We had St. Lucian
Yes.
media here as well, and also the Barbadian media. We had the nation. We interacted with a few of our friends from the Barbados nation
Yeah.
who were quite visible on the
Yeah.
ground today and doing their bit and covering for their individual platform as well. And did get a cross paths with a correspondent from Telesur, who provided updates, of course, for Telesur International, Telesur English, back to Venezuela and the other Latin American countries. And it was certainly an opportunity for us to meet others while the serious meetings were happening behind the scenes.
Well, we can probably take a break and go back to the respective studios for the time being. What we'll use the opportunity to do, if we're definitely not coming back with the actual start of the press conference, is to try to locate that person who we want to bring on set to have a conversation with us. So we're gonna return you now to your respective studios as we take a break from our broadcast until we resume in the not too distant future.
Are standing by to rejoin the press conference. We're still waiting for that live press conference between the Venezuelan president and the Guyanese president pertaining to the border dispute between Guyana and Venezuela. The Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Rolf Gonzalez, is the one who ended up having this meeting between the two leaders to really squash the tension that is going on between the both of them. So we're waiting for a live feed to come up into our studio here as we wait, that's the only thing we can do is wait for a while, because it has been said that the press conference was supposed to start at 5 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, St. Vincent time. Obviously, it did not get underway. We went live 2 times and had to cancel the live. We're still waiting for that live press conference. Bear with us, please. It has nothing to do with from my end. I'm just taking it live to everyone so they can see what is going on between Venezuela and Guyana. The Prime Minister of the Grenadines, Dr. the Honorable Rodriguez, is the one who really called for this talk, and a lot of CARICOM leaders are there. Prime Minister of Barbados, Neil Motley, Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago is also there. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. For some reason, we haven't seen the Jamaican Prime Minister nor the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We don't know what is going on there, but we haven't seen any of them there at the talk between Venezuela and Guyana. But hopefully, there has to be some solution to this border dispute between these 2 countries. It cannot continue like this. So we're waiting for the live feed to come back into us, for us to bring live to you. What we're going to do now until the live feed get in, I may get in contact with Dr. Rupert Francis or Ambassador Curtis Ward to give us their perspective and what they think will come out of this meeting. So we're going to see if we can get a hold of those 2 persons, come and talk to us until the time we get back to the live press conference. Hopefully I can get a hold of Dr. Rupert Francis first, then I can get Ambassador Curtis Ward. Just a moment for me, please. Yes, sorry about that. We're going to see if we can get a hold of Dr. Rupert Francis and ask him, what he thinks about the whole press conference that is going to go on between these 2 leaders. Of course, we see the 2 leaders shaking hands at one point, So hopefully we can get them there. Just bear with me a minute, please. I'm going to take make a call to the 2 gentlemen. We're unable to get a hold of the two gentlemen, but I'm pretty much sure they'll call us back. But this is what is happening now. Live from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in short order, we're going to have a press conference between Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela and President Ali of Guyana. They've been having some border dispute way before you and I was born, way before the two gentlemen was born also. And it continued until this blessed day. Well, let's hope that CARICOM leaders and the talk headed by St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister, Comrade Ralph Gonzalez, yeah. Let's hope that this thing can really stop. Because we don't want to have a tension in the Caribbean. The two friends of Jamaica. We don't want to have that. So let's pray and hope that that will stop, that the two prime ministers, the two presidents rather, will come to some agreement with the border dispute that they're having. Let's pray and hope that will happen. That they will come to some agreement. Because, you know, those two countries have oil, and of course Jamaica will benefit from the oil reserve that they have. Jamaica can benefit from it because right now Jamaica is getting oil from elsewhere, and we truly need to have good relationship with these two countries. So I pray and hope that these two countries will come to some agreement tonight in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's quite obvious we haven't seen the Jamaican Prime Minister and the delegation of the Jamaican Minister of Foreign Affairs. We don't know if they're represented by somebody. We haven't heard anything like that. So we don't know. Just give me a minute, please. I'm going to go to Dr. Rupert Francis to see if we can have him come on and speak to us. Okay. Dr. Francis, good night to the Medical Talk program.
Good night, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What is your views on what is going on? What do you think will come out of the long day of meeting between the two leaders, one from Guyana and one from the Republic of Venezuela? Yes.
Well, personally, I think that it's a good thing that the two leaders have decided to come together and decide to trash out the issues between the two countries. Because I don't see any value to it right now. So in Venezuela, pushing a hard hand in regards to this whole matter. Whereas the entire international community has literally followed the International Criminal Court proceedings and said that the United Nations and said, look, Guyana has no standing in
Venezuela.
You want the world that Venezuela has no standing in the matter. Because this has been going on for 200 years.
Yeah.
And they know, and there was an agreement. There's a standing agreement between the British Empire and Venezuela. And but they tried to in Colombia. They tried to. Well, let's not want to go into geopolitical situation, but at the same time, they just see an opportunity and thought that they could get away with it. It's about time they said, listen, no, they're just going to this for the entire region.
What is it? Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
No, it makes no sense because let me tell you something. For solved most of the region buys the fuel from Venezuela, I think. The last time I heard. They buy their fuel through Venezuela. The only Jamaica maybe not getting that benefit right now. And they get at a preferential rate. And although the United States is buying from Venezuela, it's still not, they still can shy. We are talking about maybe 30 or 40 other countries, are buying their oil, whatever type of oil they're getting from Venezuela. And that is significant.
Yes.
This is the point.
Yes. We do
That's
apologize
significant.
to our listeners and viewers. I think they were hearing something else. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So it's really you don't what should I say backpedaling a situation or throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that's what Venezuela would be doing. She already had a lot of problems. They already have a lot of people that are leaving the country. It's a serious brain drain. You need everybody, every friend you can get right now.
Let me ask you this question, Dr. Francis. What is your views on the whole thing of Jamaica is not you don't see anybody from Jamaica there?
No, Jamaica, no, but Jamaica is not there now.
What is your
Because
views on
Jamaica
that?
had voted. Well, it seems to me that Jamaica made a choice during the last administration, the United States, that they would back the United States in whichever stance that they had. Is the U.S. represented there?
Oh yes.
Oh well, then if that's the case, then Jamaica should be. I don't know what ball they're playing, but to be quite honest with you, whatever they're playing, I think that Jamaica is getting out of its league in that sense. That I can't see why they're not there. That is certainly in our backyard, literally. Right? We should be there standing up. But okay, let's say we made an error the first time around, or let's say we don't agree with them. We can still go in and say, hey, although we don't agree, we agree with the decision that you have made or the decision you could make for the region. And let's try. Let's talk again. They shouldn't be so afraid of anybody or any entity that they can do that.
If you
That's my personal view.
hold on for me. If you're just joining us, we're speaking to Dr. Rupert Francis, head of the Jamaican Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force. We're getting some comment from Dr. Francis pertaining to the talks that is going on in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Venezuela, and Guyana border dispute. Dr. Francis, you're saying that you're not surprised in a sense that Jamaica is not there.
Well, I am, and I'm not. Let's put it this way. I don't think it's a good idea for them not to be there, but I think maybe based on what had happened previously, that's why they're not there. But I would say that's. I mean, I'm not a diplomat and I'm not the Jamaican government, but I would say, listen, this is a regional thing, and everybody else is there. So why are we talking about helping Haiti, helping this, and we're not trying to help Guyana? And Guyana, really and truly, you know, is going to be a mothership, whether you like it or not. We should really, really thank them because they're new, they're fresh on the block, and they're going to get the investments, and a lot could trickle over to us. I think.
Do you believe because of the Holness administration had, in other words, disrespect the Petrocarib deal between Venezuela and Jamaica? Why you think they feel ashamed not to be in those talks between Venezuela and Guyana?
Listen to me. In the world of diplomacy and in the world that I see out there, you can't afford to be ashamed. You make mistakes, you make errors, you make judgments that perhaps are not for that particular time. We move on. Okay? And if you as a person, as a man, you have to stand up and say, look, I think, not as I made a mistake, but that was how I felt that now I'm seeing this as a new paradigm. No matter where you take it, how you cut it or slice it. Right? If Jamaica, we cannot afford to make Venezuela prevail on Guyana. Because if they do, who's next? Who's next? And you don't want a geopolitical war in this region. We just don't want it. We've had enough in the past. We've had enough coups, enough assassinations, we don't want that. We want to have countries that are moving forward, no matter what type of politics they have. So long as they,
So, Dr. Francis, do you believe that if this talk didn't take place, what do you think would have happened between the two countries, sir?
well, first of all, the International Criminal Court told, and the United States, all the other bodies told Venezuela that they're wrong and they must back off. I don't think Venezuela really has any other option, because to do anything else is further alienating them, and they don't want that. So I think that they would have. I think Venezuela could not have moved their troops into. It would be a world situation.
In other words, if Venezuela should move their troops into Guyana,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that other Caribbean countries or other CARICOM countries that has their military force, do you think they would have sent the force into Guyana to help Guyana?
Yes, I think they would. I don't think it would be. I don't know when you look throughout the West Indies, if let's say they have a force of maybe 20 or 30,000, as opposed to 250,000, and without tanks and various type of, what's going to happen there? I think it would have been more likely that America would have to use a big stick at this point and say, look, this is not going to happen in my backyard. And I think most importantly, I don't know if Mexico, I don't know if Colombia, I don't know if the other countries on the hemisphere are present at the meeting, but they might be saying, hey, you can't do that, or else we are next. You see what I'm saying? And they already have problems with Colombia.
I know
on their border.
I know that Brazil has sent their foreign minister.
Yes, I know. They sent.
Yes, and
that's significant.
And that is significant, and that is why I'm saying tonight, Dr. Francis. It does not look good on Jamaica at all. Jamaica has been shown. Jamaica has been shown to be the power breaker in a lot of things within the Caribbean. And now our foreign policy is through the door, because if we don't have somebody, from the foreign ministry there, that don't look good at all.
No, it's more than not looking good. It's really whoever made that decision is not a good one at all. It's not a question of just looking good. It's just not good, right? Even listen to me. Even if they couldn't get a flight, they couldn't whatever. It was too short a notice. I don't know, but they should have been there. We should have been represented. After all, aren't we? Isn't our prime minister the head of CARICOM?
No.
No,
he's not the head of CARICOM. No? The head of CARICOM is the prime minister for Bahamas.
Oh, Bahamas. Okay,
yes.
They changed. Okay,
not Jamaica.
All right, fine. So, all right, but at least we're on the we're among the leaders. We have led the CARICOM for years. We've given good advice to CARICOM for years, and so on and so forth. And we really got a lot of, what should I say, power and influence in the CARICOM anyway, regardless of whether we're here or not. So the fact of the matter is that our voice should matter. We should be one of the preeminent voices calling for a normalcy in the region.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any foolishness to happen again, like what happened in Grenada or something like that. No, we don't want that. Do you think that? Let me ask you a question. Do you think that America could stand by to see a Venezuela take over half of Guyana? Do you think so?
I don't think America would allow such thing to happen.
Oh no, they couldn't. They couldn't. I mean, can you imagine? All right, then after let's imagining that, then and then you see China, Venezuela saying to China, well, no, you can have this huge land, this you could come and do your mining and do you think that, come on? Not only what's happening with BRICS and all that sort of thing, they could not allow it. No matter who's the president of the United States, no matter who, they couldn't allow it. Okay, and I'm sure Canada is standing by as well, doing small. I think they would have a mess on their hands. So you have UN troops that will be brought in. You have Canadian troops that could be brought in. Troops from the Caribbean, that could be a significant deterrence at that point. And then you would have British troops coming in too, because remember, Britain has never severed their ties with Guyana, really.
No, they
They're
haven't,
part of the Commonwealth.
because
Part of the Commonwealth.
yes, and right now the current secretary of London, how do you call it again? The foreign
The
secretary.
Commonwealth.
No, foreign
One
secretary.
sector. Okay.
And the foreign secretary had discussion with the prime minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and also had discussion with President Ali of Guyana.
Okay.
You know, are you near a radio or something, Dr. Francis?
I am not near a radio at all. I'm
I'm
actually
hearing
was
something in the
listening on
background
my.
coming from your end.
Oh yes. Something's in the background. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear, but the music in the what you have in the background.
Okay, let me move from where I am.
Yes. We're speaking to Dr. Rupert Francis, head of the Jamaican Diaspora Crime Intervention Prevention Task Force, and we're asking him what is his views and what is. Hold on for me, Dr. Francis. Let us see what's going on here, because
I'm holding.
let us hold on, because I want to see what's going on here, because we're having a background noise coming in.
Okay. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you much better now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
Yes.
we're trying to figure out why is Jamaica wasn't there. A lot of people are asking the question, even in the chat room, Dr. Francis.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is quite obvious what is happening. That Jamaica speaking, they're not really trying to, they're not trying. They're not trying to, what do you call it, immerse themselves in what's going on here at all.
Yeah.
Why? Don't ask me. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, so I was getting your views on that, Dr. Francis. So, Dr. Francis,
No, yeah.
what do you think? What do you think a man, what do you think would have happened in that meeting?
In terms of the Venezuelan and the Guyanese heads of state?
Yes.
Well, I think it is just saying, look, a lot has gone. I think that they're trying to call some form of alliance, some degree of alliance. I think that would be the best diplomatic solution. Some form of alliance between the two. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because anything else would spark a more controversy and bad will and ill will.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is what is going on right now. They flex their muscles, and what's the name? Venezuela flex their muscles, and so they're now have to come together and fix it one way or another.
But this has been going on for over 200 years, Dr. Francis. And I think.
Well, yes, it's been going on a very long time, but time is people don't care. I mean, the war in Ukraine, and we're talking about that's about 800, 900, 1,000 years.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the whole development. So people are looking for a way. Listen, Maduro's country is in a total mess. Venezuela is a total mess. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they have to become relevant again. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have the people there to do it because the people have no confidence in that government. They're leaving in droves. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if they can get foreign investment in somewhere else, or influence it or so on and so forth, or maybe even they since they're mining, they're already exploring. They might say, okay, you can come in with your account and we'll give you, give you some of the work, etc., etc. Maybe that's what they're trying to work out. I don't know. I personally wouldn't do it.
Mm.
The international law is the international law. I'm not one of.
I don't think President Ali of Guyana is going to do something like that, because based on how his utterance towards what is going on, and based on his body language and the handshake that you saw, I don't think he wants to really be in that room with Maduro from Venezuela.
Well, maybe he doesn't want to be, but he should be because when you're head of state, you have to go with the good times and the bad times. Okay, and you have to set an example for those who are, your people. Okay, remember, they have. I don't. How many people in Guyana? I think it's also just over a million or maybe 2 million. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
In the entire
I
Guyana.
don't remember
I'm
the
not sure, but
population of Guyana.
I'd have to look it up.
Yes.
But it's not a very large amount of people. Okay, so they have to start to encourage more migration to Ghana. They have to encourage more involvement in Grenada and so on and so forth.
Guyana.
They have to also get some more security, and I hope they won't do what the African countries have done and get in this group of people, mad people from that used to be running around in Russia. So they call this. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
The group or something like
yes, the Wagner group. The Wagner group. I hope they won't do that. Okay, and I think that Africa has to be very careful because the Wagner group is not made up of people that they don't look African. They're totally different. What do you think when they wise up and realize what they do? Any card could play. This is the point I'm making. The only difference is that they're outnumbered 100-1 in terms of and they can't kill off everybody. So that's another thing. But Guyana is not that. Guyana need immigrants right now. They have immigrants around the world. They have people they will come there and settle, and that sort of thing, and help to build the infrastructure of Guyana. Okay, that's what they need. They attract people.
Someone just told me says 813/834 population of Guyana. That's 8. Oh Lord, what's wrong with me tonight? 813,834 people. Yes.
That's what I thought. It was 800,000 persons in there. I mean, I can't believe it's a huge country where I have only just under 1 million people. That's it's crazy. I don't know what is happening in Guyana. I don't know. But certainly they are not.
Let us turn to home for a minute, Dr. Francis. Like I have you here. Although we're still standing by for the live press conference from St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the airport there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're still waiting for a press conference between Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. the Honorable Rolf Gonzalez, who's hosting the delegation of Guyana, President Ali of Guyana, and President Maduro of Venezuela. Read the border dispute between those two countries. We're still waiting for a live press conference. We're standing by for that. Dr. Francis, when you look at what is going on in Jamaica, let's turn to home of the whole security situation we face in Jamaica. I'll never get your input on it. The American government, along with the British government, has give a statement that Jamaica to get rid of the crime, the corruption problem in our country, it lies in the hands of the Jamaican people. And I'm pretty much sure that they're saying the same thing about crime. Your views on that?
Look. Let me tell you something. I heard a statement in that regard coming from the current government and the Prime Minister. And I'm asking myself, what on God's earth is he talking about? How can crime and violence and corruption be the responsibility of civil society? How can it be?
No. He wasn't the one who said it. The American government said. The American government said, if Jamaica wants to stem the corruption problem at they face, it lies in the hands of the Jamaican people. And I think America and Britain is sending a clear message to Jamaica.
Look, let me say this. I heard it was a speech by the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the opposition of Jamaica when they had their annual general meetings. Okay? And I heard it again before that there was an assumption made that the people of Jamaica literally were the cause of many of the things that are happening in Jamaica to Jamaica.
You mean
And
what you're saying that the two leaders, the opposition leader and the prime minister said something like that? That's what you're saying?
yes, I heard. Yeah, at the conferences. I'm sure I read that, and I'm sure I heard the speeches. I was listening to it last night. And what I'm trying to say to you is that the people cannot be responsible for their direction. You know, they are not the leaders. It must be the leaders of any country who are responsible for its growth and its development.
So what you're
It's
saying,
leadership.
so what you're saying, Dr. Francis, what the British embassy and the American embassy is saying, that if they want to solve the corruption problem in Jamaica, it does not lie in the hands of the Jamaican people then. That's what you're saying?
Not really. No, no. How can it lie in the hands? Lies in the hands of the people, based upon the guidance and the leadership of the country. It can't be. It can't be the people themselves. They are not the ones. It's like saying, okay, I have my children, and they must go out and fight for themselves. They must go out and manage themselves. They must go out and show the best, put the best foot forward. That's impossible. So who is training whom? The Bible says that train up a child in the way it must go. If the children have no direction, if they have no, what should I say, no standard by which to operate on, how are they going to manage? Right? We can't do that. We can't show that. We can't show that out to the children. Right? No, that's regression. We have to make sure that we as leaders learn what leadership is, practice what leadership is, right? Develop strategies, short, medium, and long term, that are going to affect the country, that are going to make the country better. They have to decide. They can decide with the people. Remember, democracy by the people, for the people, of the people, right? And if the people are not allowed to make their own decisions, then it's a dictatorship or autocracy. Yeah? Come on, give me a break. We need people out there to help us mold the country's character and to mold the people so that we can go forward. That's what we need. Yeah? So, yeah, it's not a question of, you know, physician, know thyself, we can't lead ourselves. That's what the families are all about. You don't have it's like the tail walking the dog. That's not possible.
I think
nobody could expect that. Yeah. I hear people blaming poor people for the situation in Jamaica. Up to today, I was talking to a friend of mine from Jamaica. He said that the people them lazy. I said, okay, ask yourself the question. All right. And if you look at your own family, I mean, I'm not asking you to take a business in public or anybody's business in public. But you can tell the successful ones and how they became successful, and the ones who don't want to be successful. They may somewhere along the line decide that they don't want, that they may be influenced by other people and all that sort of thing, but maybe it's not influenced by you. You're going to say to me, like, God, how did Pastor Child turn out to be that? He did not pick. No, that child decided he didn't want to listen. He may have spared the rod and spoiled the child. Because I even heard our honorable prime minister talking about we treating the children. Let me ask you a question. Unless I'm a mad person, when did you hear somebody beat a child in Jamaica and kill them? You tell me. When? Did you get a beating when you were growing up?
No, I get a lot of beating when I'm growing because I was
tell you
spoiled.
Something, man.
I was spoiled and unruly.
Let me tell you something. My mother said to me, I brought in this world and I will take you out. And my mother, from the day I started working, my mother never worked again until she was 90 years old. You hear what I'm saying to you? Why? Because I'm glad she made sure that she did not have a male figure around her to support her and do the things. So what we need is families, stable families, and if we don't have stable villages and stable groups that they can grow up with and give them and mentor them. Okay, and if you're not providing that mentorship, and even when you provide some mentorship for some children, they go astray. What Dr. Spock was talking about is foolishness, right? Listen, the Bible itself, for those who people are Bible taught, it tells you if a man allows his son to be ruled, it is his fault, right? It's his fault. And many of the people are talking about, these people in Jamaica should listen to me, and it's because of slavery. Yes, I know that slavery left a legacy for us, right? But at the same time, there are many people who have come out and done fairly well. Look at how Jamaicans do well abroad. Okay, and then the people are making excuses. No, I don't believe we should make excuses. Everybody has an opportunity. Yes, some have less and some need, but we need to prepare the population. We need to prepare the poor people. We need to give them opportunities. That will make them stop sitting on and rolling the marijuana and so on and so forth, and go find a job that can sustain them.
Well, Dr.
Okay,
Francis,
and we must give right.
suppose there's, well, a lot of people are saying that there's no job in the country, so I don't know.
That is not true. There are jobs in the country, but they don't pay well. They don't pay well, and people are I think that a lot of the people in Jamaica are being used and abused. Because some people are making some serious money in Jamaica at the same time. But at the same time, if you do not give them the opportunities to get an education, if they can't go to school and they don't have any shoes to wear, or maybe, because some people, children don't want to go without them shoes, and they don't have a lunch money and so on. How are they going to school and stay in school? So they go on the road and beg, and they also wash car windows. You see them on the road all the time, many of them in Kingston, what have you. So the ones in the country, what do? They do nothing. And nobody's encouraging them. They're not taking them to the field and say, this is how I grow this is how I make my field. They're not doing it. They can't even afford to give the child lunch in the field either. You see what I'm saying? So you have to provide systems. And I'm not talking about social, what they call social services. I am talking about being able, listen, there is not a broke politician I know in Jamaica. Right? But there are a lot of broke families. And if you can make sure that the families are taken care of and they have a home to live in, something that they can be proud of, something that they won't wet when the water in, they can get water to drink, and there are opportunities. Why do you think most Jamaicans want to come abroad, my friend, and go anywhere? No, if Guyana decides to have a lot of positions there and so on, willing to pay them well, they'll go to Guyana, of course, and they'll be welcome. But the fact is, we as their leaders must provide we must provide the circumstance. We must provide the opportunity. We must provide to help them, to lift them up. The churches have a responsibility with that too. Everybody has a. You can't yourself as a church. You become the biggest minister in the village, and everybody else still have to bring tithe to you, and everybody else is poor and cannot pay their light bill. Does that make sense?
Dr. Francis.
Does make sense?
Dr. Francis, the Prime Minister, his town hall meeting in Washington, D.C. a couple of days ago, said that he's going to put legislation in place, hate speech. The diaspora is split about that. What is your views on it?
What do you mean hate speech? What does he mean by hate speech to whom? And what's the hate speech he's talking about?
Well, I guess the hate speech, if you go up there and speak about, the hate speech that people giving in the United States.
I understand what you're saying, hate speech. What type of hate speech will be? Hate speech where? In for Jamaica?
Yes.
Where's the hate speech is he talking about? Who is he talking about?
What he said, he's going to put legislation in place that if you decide to give a hate speech...
The Prime Minister needs to wheel and come again. There are people killing people willingly, cutting off their heads and what have you and what have you. And nobody is being even held to account. They're not being sent, they're not being armed, they're not being hung, they're not being given this sentence won't work. There's nothing working and the killing is still going on. That's what the Prime Minister needs to focus on. But hate speech, hate who? I hate you. What? I hate you because you're black. Most of us black in Jamaica. I hate you because you're Chinese. I have never heard that.
Dr. Francis, you don't know when a person give a hate speech pertaining to, your sexual orientation or whatever?
That is foolishness. If you listen, let me tell you something. That is foolishness. I don't care who said it's foolishness. Hate speech against me. Let me tell you something. If a man is effeminate, if a man is loves other men, that's to me is his business. But if he takes it outside and somebody says, "I don't like what you're doing," what's wrong with that? Certainly in Jamaica, it is against the law. I don't have a problem. I have a lot of friends who are very what's it, splendacious. Yes, I call them that, and but they don't do the things that a lot of people do. They don't put it into people's faces and all that, and so on and so forth. There are some people out there. There's no way a man can be a woman and a woman can be a man. And so you can never get me say to a woman that you know using other pronouns. I'm not going to do it. Wherever I am, I'm not.
If you're just
I'm
joining,
sorry.
if you're just joining us, we're standing by
Yes.
for a live press conference from St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency the Most Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, and also the President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and the President of Guyana, President Ali. They are going to have a press conference, the talk today about the Venezuela and Guyana border dispute. We're speaking to Dr. Rupert Francis, head of the Jamaican Crime Prevention Task Force. And we're speaking about what is going on between Guyana and Venezuela. We are speaking about what is going on in the land of wood and water. If you're going to call into the program to give your views on it, you can call 954 529 8030. That's 954 529 8030 to give your input. What is your views on what is going on in Venezuela and in Guyana and Venezuela, rather, the border dispute, and also your views in what is going on in the land of wood and water, the home of our birth. Dr. Francis?
Yeah. I want to go back to this hate speech. Let me tell you something. Jamaica is known throughout the world for the happiest people. Apart from these last 3 years where we saw these heinous murders and so on and so forth, really one of the most wonderful countries. And people should stop what is happening in Jamaica is different. But it's not hate speech. It's hate killing.
No. I think you're misunderstanding me. You know. What he said,
right.
What he said, if you should get up and give hate speeches, they're going to put legislation in place that when you do so, then you face the brunt of the law. I think that's what he's saying.
Can I ask you a question? I understand fully what you're saying. But what is more important? Us raping children, us raping women, us demonizing people. I mean, other than that, you know what I mean? Us not allowing young people to have the same opportunities, throughout the country. How does hate speech trigger and all that? I think we have some bigger problems. Hunger, lack of electricity, lack of water. You understand what I'm saying? Jamaica don't have a hate. Listen to me, my friend. We just saw this article about saying that Jamaica is the most safest place in the world for tourists and so on. Would they be coming here if these are mostly white folks and they're all different types? Would they be coming here if we were the champion of hate speech? What is it? It's a red herring. It's a red herring. It's trying to show us off into a different direction away from what is happening in the country.
I think what the Prime Minister wants to do, okay, we're going to stand by now, Dr. Francis. We hold it for me. We can see the video of Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Rolf Gonzalez has just come into our picture here. Let us put it back this up there. Hold on for me. There it is. I think the press conference is going to start now, Dr. Francis. Let us part way for a while, Dr. Francis. We'll call it back in a couple of minutes, Dr. Francis, as soon as yes. So we can see right now the delegation of the conferences. Let us go back to our feed live from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Right now, here we go. Okay, we're not getting any feed from there as yet. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we'll get the feed coming up to you. But based on what we're seeing right now is they're getting ready for the press conference over there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As soon as we can get the live audio clipping from there, we will go live to St. Vincent and the Grenadines for the press conference between the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the President of Guyana, President Ali, and the President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. As soon as we can get some audio from there, then we will pass it on to you. Yes. Okay, we're going to get the, there you go. We have the audio clip in here now. So just stand by for the press conference. Let me take off this from the screen and put this up. Hold on for me, please. I'm trying to organize myself here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the media. First, I'd like to apologize for keeping you waiting. The second thing I will say at the very beginning is that I will read the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela. And at the conclusion, there will be no questions. The declaration will speak for itself. There are copies of the declaration which are being printed at the moment for members of the media. As you are at the table with me, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit of the Commonwealth of Dominica, the current chair of CARICOM, the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, and we have our brother, the personal envoy of President Lula of the Federative Republic of Brazil, my dear friend Celso Amorim. The declaration, the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela reads as follows. On Thursday, December the 14th, 2023, in Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Irfaan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and His Excellency Nicolas Maduro, President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, held discussions on matters consequential to the territory in dispute between their two countries. These discussions were facilitated by the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and pro tempore President of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonzalez, and the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica and Chairman of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit. Prime Ministers Gonzalez and Skerrit, together with His Excellency Mr. Celso Amorim, Special Advisor and Personal Envoy of His Excellency Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, acted as principal interlocutors. Also present were the Honorable Prime Ministers of the Caribbean Community, namely the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, the Honorable Mia Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Deccan Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, the Honorable Philip J. Pear, Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis, and Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Attending as observers on behalf of His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, were Their Excellencies Earl Courtney Rattray, Chef de Cabinet of the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations, and Miroslav Jenka, Under Secretary General of the United Nations Department of Political and Peacebuilding Affairs. In addition, His Excellency Alvaro Leyva Duran, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Colombia, and Mr. Gerardo Torres Zelaya, Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Honduras in his capacity as CELAC Troika, also participated. All parties attending the meeting at Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reiterated their commitment to Latin America and the Caribbean remaining a zone of peace. Guyana and Venezuela declared as follows. 1. Agreed that Guyana and Venezuela directly or indirectly will not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. 2. Agreed that any controversies between the two states will be resolved in accordance with international law, including the Geneva Agreement dated February 17, 1966. 3. Committed to the pursuance of good neighborliness, peaceful coexistence, and the unity of Latin America and the Caribbean. 4. Noted Guyana's assertion that it is committed to the process and procedures of the International Court of Justice for the resolution of the border controversy. Noted Venezuela's assertion of its lack of consent and lack of recognition of the International Court of Justice and its jurisdiction in the border controversy. 5. Agreed to continue dialogue on any other pending matters of mutual importance to the two countries. 6. Agreed that both states will refrain, whether by words or deeds, from escalating any conflict or disagreement arising from any controversy between them. The two states will cooperate to avoid incidents on the ground conducive to tension between them. In the event of such an incident, the two states will immediately communicate with one another, the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Community of Latin American and the Caribbean, CELAC, and the President of Brazil to contain, reverse, and prevent its recurrence. 7. Agreed to establish immediately a joint commission of the foreign ministers and technical persons from the two states to address matters as mutually agreed. An update from this joint commission will be submitted to the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela within 3 months. 8. Both states agreed that Prime Minister Ralphie Gonzalez, the pro tempore president of CELAC, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, the incumbent CARICOM chairman, and President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil will remain seized of the matter as interlocutors, and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres as observers, with the ongoing concurrence of Presidents Irfaan Ali and Nicolas Maduro. For the avoidance of doubt, Prime Minister Gonzalez's role will continue even after St. Vincent and the Grenadines ceases to be the pro tempore president of CELAC, within the framework of the CELAC Troika +1. And Prime Minister Skerrit's role will continue as a member of the CARICOM Bureau. 9. Both states agreed to meet again in Brazil within the next 3 months or at another agreed time to consider any matter with implications for the territory in dispute, including the above-mentioned update of the Joint Commission. 10. We express our appreciation to Prime Ministers Gonzalez and Skerrit, to President Lula and his personal envoy Celso Amorim, to all other CARICOM Prime Ministers present, to the officials of the CARICOM Secretariat, to the CELAC Troika, and to the head of the CELAC PTP Secretariat in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Dr. Douglas Slater, for their respective roles in making this meeting a success. 11. We express our appreciation to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their kind facilitation and hospitality at this meeting, dated this 14th day of December, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, that's the statement, that's the declaration, the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela. And we thank you very much for your presence and your forbearance. May Almighty God continue to bless all of us. The declaration, I've been advised, would now be read in Spanish.
Pero eso no es para allá, ¿sí? Declaración conjunta de Argyll por el diálogo y la paz entre Guyana y Venezuela. El jueves 14 de diciembre de 2023 en Argyll, San Vicente y las Granadinas, Su Excelencia Irfaan Ali, presidente de la República Cooperativa de Guyana, y Su Excelencia Nicolas Maduro, presidente de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela, mantuvieron conversaciones sobre asuntos consecuentes al territorio en disputa entre sus dos países. Estos debates fueron facilitados por el primer ministro de San Vicente y las Granadinas y el presidente pro tempore de la Comunidad de Estados Latinoamericanos y Caribeños, CELAC, doctor Ralph González, y el primer ministro de la Commonwealth de Dominica y presidente de la Comunidad del Caribe, CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerrit. Los primeros ministros González y Skerrit, junto con su excelencia Celso Amorim, consejero especial y enviado personal de su excelencia, el presidente Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, actuaron como interlocutores principales. También estuvieron presentes los honorables primeros ministros de la Comunidad del Caribe, a saber, el honorable Philip Davis, primer ministro de Bahamas, la honorable Mi Amor Motley, primera ministra de Barbados, el honorable Deacon Mitchell, primer ministro de Grenada, el honorable Philip Pierre, primer ministro de Santa Lucía, el honorable Terence Drew, de San Cristóbal y Nieves, y el doctor Keith Rowley, primer ministro de la República de Trinidad y Tobago. Asistieron en calidad de observadores en representación de su excelencia Antonio Guterres, secretario general de las Naciones Unidas, sus excelencias Earl Courtney Rattray, jefe de gabinete de la oficina del secretario general de las Naciones Unidas, y Miroslav Jenka, secretario general adjunto del Departamento de Asuntos Políticos y de Consolidación de la Paz de las Naciones Unidas. Además, participaron el excelentísimo señor Álvaro Leiva Durán, ministro de Relaciones Exteriores de la República de Colombia, y el señor Gerardo Torres Zelaya, viceministro de Relaciones Exteriores de la República de Honduras, en su calidad de troika de la CELAC. Todas las partes asistentes a la reunión de Argyll, San Vicente y las Granadinas reiteraron su compromiso de que América Latina y el Caribe sigan siendo una zona de paz. Guyana y Venezuela declararon lo siguiente. 1. Acordaron que Guyana y Venezuela, directa o indirectamente, no se amenazarán ni utilizarán la fuerza mutuamente en ninguna circunstancia, incluidas las derivadas de cualquier controversia existente entre ambos estados. 2. Acordaron que cualquier controversia entre los dos estados se resolverá de conformidad con el derecho internacional, incluido el Acuerdo de Ginebra del 17 de febrero.
They're reading the declaration in Spanish. I know a lot of us don't understand Spanish, but we're gonna stick with them. We can't break away from it as yet because I think the 2 persons or 3 persons at the podium will speak. So just bear with us, please. Thank you.
De que está comprometida con el proceso y los procedimientos de la Corte Internacional de Justicia para la resolución de la controversia fronteriza. Tomaron nota de la afirmación de Venezuela, de su falta de consentimiento y falta de reconocimiento de la Corte Internacional de Justicia y su jurisdicción en la controversia fronteriza. 5. Acordaron continuar el diálogo sobre cualquier otro asunto pendiente de importancia mutua para los dos países. 6. Acuerdan que ambos estados se abstendrán, ya sea de palabra o de hecho, de intensificar cualquier conflicto o desacuerdo derivado de cualquier controversia entre ellos. Los dos estados cooperarán para evitar incidentes sobre el terreno que conduzcan a tensiones entre ellos. En caso de que se produzca un incidente de este tipo, los dos estados se comunicarán inmediatamente entre sí con la comunidad del CARICOM, con la comunidad de estados latinoamericanos y caribeños CELAC y con el presidente de Brasil para contenerlo, revertirlo y evitar que se repita. 7. Acordaron establecer inmediatamente una comisión conjunta de los ministros de Relaciones Exteriores y técnicos de los dos estados para tratar los asuntos mutuamente acordados. Una actualización de esta comisión conjunta será presentada a los presidentes de Guyana y Venezuela en un plazo de 3 meses. 8. Ambos estados acordaron que el primer ministro Ralph González, presidente pro tempore de la CELAC, el primer ministro Roosevelt Skerrit, presidente en ejercicio de CARICOM, y el presidente Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva de Brasil seguirán ocupándose del asunto como interlocutores y el secretario general de la ONU, Antonio Guterres, como observador con la concurrencia permanente de los presidentes Irfaan Ali y Nicolas Maduro. Para evitar dudas, el papel del primer ministro González continuará incluso después de que San Vicente y las Granadinas deje de ser el presidente pro tempore de la CELAC, en el marco de la troika de la CELAC +1, y el papel del primer ministro Skerrit continuará como miembro del Buró de la CARICOM. 9. Ambos estados acordaron reunirse de nuevo en Brasil en los próximos 3 meses o en otro momento acordado para considerar cualquier asunto con implicaciones para el territorio en disputa, incluida la mencionada actualización de la comisión mixta. 10. Expresamos nuestro agradecimiento a los primeros ministros González y Skerrit, al presidente Lula y a su enviado personal Celso Amorín, a todos los demás primeros ministros de la CARICOM presentes, a los funcionarios de la Secretaría de la CARICOM, a la troika de la CELAC y al jefe de la Secretaría PTP de la CELAC en San Vicente y las Granadinas, su excelencia el señor Douglas Slater, por sus respectivos papeles en el éxito de esta reunión. 11. Expresamos nuestro agradecimiento al gobierno y al pueblo de San Vicente y las Granadinas por su amable facilitación y hospitalidad en esta reunión, fechado el 14 de diciembre de 2023.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks. Have a good evening.
This is where we say so long from here for another broadcast. Join us again. I want to say thanks to all our people who made this possible. I am Jeffrey Tavares saying thank you all very much. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. Thank you all very much.